There is a moment many professional women recognize, though few name aloud. It is the moment you realize that excellence did not protect you, that titles did not insulate you, that competence, while necessary, was never sufficient. For a long time, I believed that if I worked hard enough, spoke carefully enough, and carried myself professionally enough, the room would eventually settle, that authority would be granted, that belonging would follow. It did not work that way. What I learned slowly, sometimes painfully, is that identity in public life is not something you earn once and keep. It is something you must negotiate repeatedly, often in spaces that benefit from your labor but resist your voice. We often speak about identity as though it is static, a name, a CV, a title block beneath your photograph, but identity, especially for women in leadership and public institutions, is not fixed. It is relational, it is contested, it is shaped by how others respond to our presence. I have learned that women are rarely asked who they are. More often, they are told who they should be. Be firm, but not too firm. Be visible, but not too visible. Be knowledgeable, but not intimidating. Speak, but do not disrupt. These instructions are rarely written down, yet they are rigorously enforced. Naming oneself, claiming expertise without apology, refusing diminishment is therefore not a rhetoric act. It is political. To say this is who I am, this is what I know, is to disrupt systems that depend on women's silence, gratitude, or perpetual proving. Identity, I've come to understand, is not about fitting into a role. It is about refusing erasure within it. Authority is not given. It is claimed and then defended. One of the quiet myths of professional life is that authority arrives naturally with seniority, that once you reach a certain level, your voice will carry its own weight. For many women, this is not true. Authority is often questioned, even after it has been demonstrated. Women are asked to justify decisions they did not make alone, to soften messages that men deliver plainly, to step aside, to build capacity precisely when visibility matters most. This constant negotiation extracts a cost, not just professionally, but psychologically. You begin to edit yourself before you speak. You anticipate resistance before it appears. You learn which parts of yourself are acceptable and which must be hidden. And then sometimes something shifts. Sometimes you realize that shrinking has not brought safety, that silence has not delivered peace, that you are tired of explaining your presence in rooms you help build. This is often where becoming begins. Institutions are uncomfortable with loss. They prefer continuity, performance, and resilience narratives that move neatly from challenge to success, but loss does not resolve itself on a timeline. Loss may be personal, the death of someone who shaped you, the death of a spouse, the fracture of a family, the quiet griefs that never make it into professional bios. Or it may be professional, the loss of trust, of belonging, of the version of yourself that once believed systems were neutral, of position, of a job. Loss teaches in ways no leadership manual does. It teaches you what matters. It teaches you how fragile certainty is. It teaches you the limits of endurance. Many women lead while carrying loss that no meeting agenda acknowledges. They mentor, manage, moderate, and deliver while holding grief in the body and memory in the voice. There is no medal for this. Often, there's not even language for it, yet loss reshapes authority. It deepens empathy, it strips leadership of pretense, and replaces it with discernment. If we are honest, many of the women we admire most did not become formidable because life was kind to them. They became formidable because they learned how to carry what life took. We often talk about reinventing oneself as though the goal is to discard earlier versions and emerge entirely new. It is learning to carry your competence without armor, your grief without apology, your voice without permission. Becoming is what happens when you stop auditioning for rooms and start shaping them. When you understand that mastery is not the end of the journey, but the threshold. That moment changes how you show up. You become more selective, more deliberate, less interested in approval, more invested in consequence. We speak often about legacy as though it is something emotional or symbolic, a reputation, a memory, a speech at a retirement dinner. But real legacy is structural. It is the systems you improve, the women you make space for, the knowledge you document so others do not have to start from scratch like you did. For women, especially African women in public life, legacy is often informal and unrecognized. Advice given quietly, doors open discreetly, warnings often without credit. Yet this invisible labor is what keeps institutions human. The danger is that if it is not named, it disappears. That is why documentation matters, why writing matters, why mentorship must be intentional rather than incidental. Because what is not recorded can be erased, and what is erased must be learned at a great cost. I'm writing this not because I have arrived, but because I'm still becoming. I am writing for the women who are tired of pretending that professionalism requires emotional amputation, for those who have been told they're too much precisely because they're finally enough. I am sharing to insist that identity is not arrogance, that loss is not weakness, and that becoming is not a betrayal of who you are once. Most of all, I am sharing to say this: staying is not the same as stagnation. Staying, when done consciously, is an act of urgency. If you are hearing this and recognizing yourself, I invite you to do 3 things. Name yourself even if your voice shakes. Do not wait for perfect permission. Document what you know so others may travel lighter. And if you're in a position of leadership, create rooms where women do not have to fracture themselves to belong. And 3, honor your losses without allowing them to define your limits. Happy New Year.